Hi and welcome to another Q&A video about menstrual cups. I'm Aoife and I make usually videos about health and veganism and raw veganism, but I think menstrual cups are so important and so amazing, so I wanted to share more about menstrual cups. So the first question, as always, is what are menstrual cups? So menstrual cups are basically period products that instead of absorbing the blood, such as tampons do, they collect the blood. And they're super amazing. So the first question that I got asked quite often is, can I wear a menstrual cup while swimming or while being in a swimming pool? Yes, you can. There's absolutely no problem. Actually, I think they're more discreet because when you wear tampons, there's always this string that I was always afraid that people might see. But menstrual cups don't have it, so it's quite discreet and quite amazing actually. Then the next thing is, how often should I empty my menstrual cups? Well, it depends on your period. So if you have a very heavy flow, then you have to change it more often, whereas when you have not such a heavy flow, then you have not to change it so often. So for the most people, they only have to change it twice a day, because you have to at least change it every 12 hours to avoid bad bacteria grow. So for me, most of my period days, I just change it in the morning once and then in the evening once. But if I have a very heavy flow, then I have to change it more often. So it depends, of course. Then the third question is it messy to wear a menstrual cup? Because, I mean, you will have blood on your hands. And actually in the beginning, it's absolutely messy, because when I started using my menstrual cup, I didn't really have any idea how to use it. So I don't know, it was quite messy. But if you get over your starting learning phase, it won't be messy anymore, because it will be super quick and super easy. And I mean, of course, when you insert it, it's no problem. But if you put it out, there will be some blood running over your finger. That's true. But first, I think it's no dirty blood, so it's just usual blood, so nothing to be ashamed of. And second, you can just, when you're in a public toilet, like in school, university, whatever, you can just put toilet paper and then just pull away the blood from your fingers, and then just go to the sink and wash your hands, and literally nobody will notice that you have, I don't know, blood on your hands or something. It's I think people think that it's more messier than it actually is, in my opinion. The next thing is, how will I know when I have to empty my menstrual cup? A very good question. For me, in the beginning, I didn't realize anything, so I was just like putting it out, and it was very small blood, no, very little blood, or it was a lot of blood. But with time, you will feel it. It might sound strange, but when you're used to menstrual cup, you will really feel when it's full, and then you can put it out. But it might take some time for you, and I don't really know if it's for everyone, but for me, I really feel it if it's full. The next question, can I wear a menstrual cup while having sex? Usually not. So these regular menstrual cups you can't wear while having sex. However, quite interesting, I found out there's a menstrual cup that you can wear while having sex, and the menstrual cup is collecting the blood, and still you can have sex. I mean, it's super amazing actually, I think, in my opinion. Then the next question, will I notice that I wear a menstrual cup? Usually not. So if you have the right size and you've inserted it correctly, you won't feel it at all. Actually, I think a lot of people, and I myself, sometimes forget that we're wearing a menstrual cup because it's super comfortable. You don't feel it. But if it doesn't feel good, you usually don't have the right menstrual cup, or you haven't inserted it correctly, or you have some vaginal infections or anything like this. Yes, then can a menstrual cup fall out of me? Usually not, except for if you have a very, very small menstrual cup and it's just far too small for you, then this can happen. But I would say 99.999% of cases, or even less, it won't happen. Yes, and when I just started my period and I have zero experience with tampons, can I still use a menstrual cup? Yes. Maybe it will take a little bit more work to get used on how to insert it, but on a little bit more time, but it's definitely possible. Like, everyone can use menstrual cup. You just have to make sure that you're choosing a very small size, and this can really help. And maybe in the beginning you want to try out the firm one, because it might be more better to open if it's firm. But just know that everyone can use it, and it's no problem. The next question is, can I use menstrual cups while having sport or while doing physical activities? Yes, you can, absolutely no problem. I actually think that they're super amazing because you don't feel that you're wearing them, and it's super great. Then can I trim off the stem? Yes, you can. Just feel if you're wearing your menstrual cup and you feel that this stem is outside of your vagina, basically, then just trim it a little bit. And my tip is to just trim always a little bit, so that, because you can always trim more, but if you cut off the whole stem at once, it's hard to glue it off. But you can definitely trim it. Are there any dangers of menstrual cups? Actually not, because you just have to make sure that you change it every 12 hours to avoid bad bacteria growth. But there's no danger of toxic shock syndrome. And if actually you're afraid of toxic shock syndrome, then make sure that you're not using super absorbent tampons, as they have a quite high risk in toxic shock syndrome. And if just make sure that you're buying really good quality, so that it's medical silicone and that it's organic and everything. So don't really buy made in China or something. That's not the best thing. Yes, and the next question is, can I use lube for inserting, or how to make it more comfortable to insert my menstrual cup? Either you can use water, so just water, or put it under the sink, water it a little bit and then insert it, or you can use lube, but just make sure that you use water-based lube, as if you use fat-based lube, it doesn't really work. Yes, I think that's all the questions I wanted to answer. And if you have any more questions, ask me on Instagram or YouTube, and make sure to watch my other Q&A videos about menstrual cups as well. I will link them in my description box. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I wish you a super nice day. Have a great time. Goodbye.